All right, everybody, this is just a live rant, and I just wanted to get this off my mind while I still had it on here. And it's been something that I've talked about, to friends of mine, and but never did a video on. And I really don't talk about sports all that much, but this is something that's been bothering me for years now. And what I'm bothered about now is how the NBA is terrible. The NBA product right now is terrible. Now, I used to think that because I'm getting older, maybe I have a greater appreciation for basketball and how it was played in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. But when I look at the product even now, I realize it's really not just me having a nostalgic outlook on it, but really the product really is awful. And I'm gonna tell you how the NBA ruined the game of basketball. And this is how most pro sports, even in this country, the major sports, this is how they usually end up messing up their product to me. And one of the things that they automatically assume and they believe is that less defense and more offense makes the product better. And to me, one of the greatest things that people love to watch when they watch theater is conflict. They like having somebody who is a unstoppable force meeting up with somebody who is the stopper, somebody who's powerful enough to stop them, to shut it down. In the NBA now, in basketball, it just doesn't allow you to do that. And it started in the early 2000s with these stupid rule changes. They did all these little dumb things. But one of the things that I really hate now is that the game isn't as physical. Okay, all right, I can see maybe why they want to do that. I mean, I don't think it looks good, but I can see why they maybe want to do that. But more importantly, they've made it a small man guard-oriented league. Now, I've always loved guard play, but to me, it just waters down the greatness of what the NBA used to be, because in order to be a great guard in the NBA, back in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, you had to actually go through so much more to dominate a basketball game because of the rules. For instance, in the 90s and 80s, you wouldn't see point guards like Steve Nash running around getting 10, 15 assists a game, just dribbling all over the floor for 22 seconds during the shot clock. Because you know why? Because there was hand checking. I think them getting rid of hand checking ruined the NBA. I think getting rid of hand checking, putting in zone defenses, making it so that basically they call any tic-tac-toe or tic-tac-foul, so there is no physical play. That's made it bad. And now you don't have like the bigs. Like, what do big men do? What do guys who are 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", 6'11" do? They don't stand in the paint and grab rebounds and post up. No, they stand outside on the perimeter, setting screens or waiting to spot up to shoot threes. And to me, it's completely ruined the game because there's no skill level now involved. All you have to do to be able to shoot or to be a good NBA player now is shoot the basketball, come off screens, dunk the ball. That's it. You don't have to do anything else really. So it kind of caters toward guards and not big. So you don't have the guys who are 7 footers who are able to dominate a basketball game anymore because of the way that the league is. And then you got guys, I mean, nothing against them, but Russell Westbrook is not Oscar Robertson, but yet he's averaging a triple-double. And it's like, really? And in the old NBA, that would have never happened. The guy wouldn't be just dribbling around the basketball court, getting to the rim. There would be somebody there. The league is too soft. Players are too soft. Nobody plays defense. That's why Golden State can run up and down the court and get dunks and layups in transition. I've never seen so many dunks and layups in transition in an NBA Finals game as I saw this year watching the finals. And I'm sitting there like, is anybody on this team going to play defense? Is anybody going to play defense on the other team? And the league has gone to the point of where they're so soft, you can't change a game because of the physicality. I understand that there are fouls and the rules have to be called. They make it so that there's no such thing now as workers. Like, you remember the old workers, like the guys like the Charles Oakleys, the PJ Browns, the Rick Mahorns, the Dennis Rodmans, the guys who could go inside and play dirty and get those rebounds and play defense, and it was physical, and you needed those guys. Now the NBA is like everybody's so soft, and that element of the game is totally gone. So now when the draft comes along and you got people being drafted, to me it's all the same thing. It's a guard or somebody who's 6'9", 6'10", acting like he is a guard. There's nobody who can catch the ball inside the post and actually dominate a basketball game from in the paint. And to me, it's just awful. That's why Golden State is going to win every year, because of these stupid rule changes. I think that the number one thing that has ruined the NBA is the NBA trying to increase scoring, and therefore now teams that would have a physical ability to be able to play defense, maybe to even up on the fact that they don't have the skill set to shoot threes or to get to the rim at will, or they don't have certain things offensively. It used to be that you can kind of even those things out if you get guys who can defend as a team and who can work hard, who can grab defensive rebounds, who can run plays in an offensive set. Now you can't do that anymore. But I do have a solution to the problem, because it goes back to something also that started happening in the late 90s, early 2000s, and that was the fact that for some reason now all of a sudden every high school kid who's a number one player thinks he's automatically ready for the NBA. And to me, that's always been kind of a sore spot for me, because for every guy who's like Kobe Bryant, there's always 20 other guys who are busts and who are terrible NBA players who come out of high school. So I was never a huge fan of high school players. It was okay when there was just a few coming out, but now that they want to look into the rule maybe and change it back to how it was, to me, that will ruin the game even more, because when guys used to go to college back in the 80s and 90s and whatnot, they used to go and learn how to play the game. That's what they used to do. They used to go there to learn how to run plays, how to set better screens, how to pass the ball on time to your teammate during a play, how to get your whole team involved and then be able to take over a game at the end, how to defend individually, how to learn how to scout other teams' weaknesses so that when you're on defense, you can make them play to their weaknesses and you can force turnovers, how to use your teammates on defense. These are all things that guys used to learn playing in college. And college used to be so much of a better proving ground to see, who was going to be good and who might translate certain things into the NBA. But now with the one and dones, guys go, they don't really care, or they go over to Europe and they just play for a year. And basically, since the game has turned into EuroLeague. And I don't know about you. I mean, maybe the younger generation likes it, but when I was a kid and when I remember watching, the Bulls and watching the Spurs when they were coming up, and Houston Rockets, and in the 2000s, watching the Lakers and watching these teams, whenever EuroLeague would come on during the summertime, I didn't like EuroLeague, because EuroLeague to me was soft. It wasn't really basketball. It was finesse. There's a place for the finesse player, but now it's like 90% of the NBA, they're finesse. And to me, that makes an awful product, because there's no resistance. There's no defensive resistance in the NBA now. There's no guys who who diversify their game, such as maybe a guy masters shooting the medium range jump shot, or he masters posting up and being able to pass out of the post, and maybe being able to work some post moves in so he can score at a certain time. There's not guys who do that anymore, and all the guys are the same. So it's like watching the NBA is like going and watching playground basketball to be now, except with guys who are taller. That's what it looks like to me. And to me, the NBA was always the place where when you didn't have certain skills, they were exposed. If you couldn't dribble, it was exposed. If you couldn't shoot, it was exposed. If you didn't have a good basketball IQ, it was exposed. If you were too soft underneath to grab rebounds, it was exposed. But now everything is the same, so everybody does the same thing, and there's absolutely now has a result, because one team thought to make a team that would be like more of a EuroLeague type team. Now Golden State is just going to win every year until basically the rest of the NBA either does one of two things. Either A, they bring back the ability to play defense with hand checking. I would love to see that. I would love to see how good these guards really are when they go up against defenders who can hand check. Is Russell Westbrook really a 30-point per game player if guys are hand checking him every day? Is Stephen Curry really that great if guys can hand check him? Is Chris Paul really that great if guys can hand check him? I mean, I think they would be good, but here's some of the stuff that people say, like Kyrie Irving is like Iverson and all this other stuff. It's like, man, Iverson would average 40 points a game in today's NBA with these rules. Guys wouldn't touch him. And to me, that's what kind of makes it so bad, because now since the league has obviously done this thing where they wanted to pass the torch to LeBron James, which also I had a big problem with that, because I haven't really been able to watch the NBA, and I'll never forgive the NBA for what they did to my beloved Los Angeles Lakers and Kobe Bryant in the latter stages of his career, when they decided to all of a sudden veto a trade for Chris Paul. To me, showing that type of favoritism to the rest of the league for a fair trade, but letting guys like LeBron James pick everybody on his team, pick every all-star player to come to his team, to me, that didn't make sense. And to me, it was a sign that the NBA wants to move in a certain direction, and the LeBron James era, and I'm sorry to say this for Cleveland fans and for fans of basketball now, but the LeBron James era is a soft era. The LeBron James era equals soft era. Why? Because mentally soft. He's mentally soft. This era are full of some of the most mentally soft players I think I've ever seen. You didn't see guys back in, like, when I was a kid and we would play against teams who were better than us in terms of pickup basketball. There might be a team that you go down to the playground and you play against all the time, but you just can't beat that team. And your friends, you just don't have the skill set yet. Maybe one of your boys thinks he can shoot threes, but he really can't, so he's not hitting shots. One of your other friends can't play D, so they keep running plays on him. One of your other guys can't dribble, so they play full press defense on him, and you end up losing to this team every time that you go down to the playground and you play. What we didn't say, oh man, you know what? These are unfair teams. I'm going to just join up with this team. You want to know what we did? We would say, you know what? I need to get my ball handling to the point of where when guys want to play full court press D or come out on me, I make them pay. I need to improve my jump shooting so that guys can't double team my boy down in the paint. I need to learn how to play better defense and learn what it takes to be a better defender. I'm not going to be the weak link. So what you would do is when you would leave the playground, you would go play some more and you would work on those skills and you would try to get better and good enough to be able to eventually beat this team. And a lot of times you would get to the place of where you could beat them. But not in today's NBA. You know, if you lose, if you just ain't good enough, you know, go sign a free agent contract, go somewhere else, go through free agency and convince two other people who you know are great to go and play basketball with you. They didn't do that back in the day. You didn't see Jordan saying, you know what, I can't beat the Pistons, so you know what, I'm out of here. No. Michael Jordan had to wait for the Bulls to draft guys, and he had to wait for guys to develop around him in order to win a championship. He had to wait for Scottie Pippen to develop into a player. He had to wait for Horace Grant to come along. He had to wait until the Bulls would trade for a Bill Cartwright. He had to wait for guys to get better at the things that they did. And it's a microcosm of society now that when stuff gets to be too hard, you just take the easy way out and just get on the winning side or go somewhere else where it's going to be easier so you don't have to work as hard. And to me, that's one of the reasons why I was never a huge LeBron James fan. Yeah, he's great. He's 6'8". Yeah, he can pass the ball. He can dunk. He can do all those things. He has great vision. He gets triple doubles and all that. But to me, LeBron James is a mentally soft player. Mentally soft. He won't change up his game. Instead of saying, you know what, the team around me is good enough to beat Golden State, I'm going to change my game so that I can make my teammates better to the point of where we can play as a team and beat them. Nah, it's not his fault. It's management's fault. And that's what the NBA is now. You got guys who come in from college. If they can't shoot a jumper in their first year, by year 10, they still can't shoot. Guys who are 7 feet, who are centers, never work on their post moves, never improve like Dwight Howard. Been in the league all these years, still can't throw the ball to him on the block consistently and count on him to get you going if you're in a bind. Point guards who never learn how to develop the ability to get their team involved. So they're just all shoot first point guards. You know, Sam Cassell back in the day was a anomaly back in the day. He was one of the first guys to really do that. But now everybody's Sam Cassell. Not too many guys who are just past first point guards in the NBA now. It's not because they're not, you know, talented enough to do it. The basketball IQ just has changed to the point where they don't have to. Everybody wants to play like a guard. Everybody wants to play like they're 6'3", 6'4". Nobody uses their size. So if the NBA wants to improve their product and make it so that there's really is actually parity in the league, one of the things that they could do that would make instant parity in the NBA is legalize hand checking again. Legalize it. Then you would have teams who are in the middle of the pack who might not have the guards who can score like that, but they got guards who can defend. You would see games begin to even out even more. You would see teams be able to beat Golden State. But as long as the NBA has these rules, as long as they have in this era of players, the mentally soft player, the NBA is going to continue to be awful. And I'm mourning the fact that the game will never be like it was when there was the Isaiah Thomases and the Michael Jordan rivalry and the Heat versus the Knicks rivalry and the Lakers versus the Spurs, Houston versus the Seattle Supersonics. You know, games like that, they're not going to happen anymore because the NBA has been ruined. And it's going to take a real commissioner with a backbone, not like the current one, to actually fix it.